Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Brian Winnekins at Commodity Classic, and thank you to our sponsors, including Synergy Co-op, Annabis Silo, Compeer Financial, also Wisconsin Soybean Growers Association, Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. Joining us right now, Cal Dalton with the Wisconsin Corn Growers. Cal's I'm going to say our ethanol guy. He kind of knows a lot of the ins and outs, and there's some really interesting things coming with ethanol that I don't think many people know about. I found out about this by talking with Cal last night during the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association's dinner. And Cal, thanks for joining us. Well, first, everybody knows ethanol and fuel, and with the higher fuel prices and all of the global situations, embargoes and this and that, ethanol's ready to go here. I mean, we should be using more of it.
Yeah, we should, Brian. Ethanol is 113 octane, so it's an octane enhancer in most of our gasoline motor fuels. We used it a lot in the 10% blend. We found out that E15 works good. We found that out in NASCAR. That's what they're running and stuff. And we'd like to see year-round sales of E15 in Wisconsin. I think that it would help our consumers. And they said that if we went to about a third of the fuel in E15 versus E10, we'd eliminate all of the oil that we are trying to get from Russia right now. So I think that this administration really needs to look at biofuels as a way to offset some of the cost. And ethanol's always been a low-cost producer. We've always been below gasoline as far as cost goes, and especially octane. We're a cheap octane for the American consumer.
One of the things I had mentioned last night, I said, okay, so in making ethanol, we have drying, and so we use a lot of natural gas. There's a lot of electric power plants. They've gone from coal to natural gas. And I had thrown the question out saying, I don't get it. Ethanol burns. Why aren't you using ethanol to dry the corn to make more ethanol? Or why aren't we using this for electric power plants? And you're like, Brian, we can do that.
Yeah, we can use ethanol in our plant. Once we get it started on natural gas, we can use it in the boiler. It's just that the cost of ethanol per BTU is a lot higher than what natural gas is. And we've got a premier product that we really don't want to burn it up unless natural gas gets like crazy out of sight like gasoline has at the pump. Also in the dryers that we dry our distiller's grain for cattle feed, because there's several products, co-products that come out of the ethanol. We just don't use it for the fuel. We also make distiller's grain, which is a livestock feed, and we also make corn oil. We get about a pound of corn oil out of every bushel of corn, and that corn oil is drop-in fuel for biodiesel, which is helping out all of the U.S. with the fuel situation that we have right now.
So if you can use it to fire a boiler at the ethanol plant, one would think you could use it to fire a boiler at an electric plant.
Yeah, we could use it for that too. Again, the cost of ethanol compared to natural gas right now is a little higher, but if that would ever invert, that's something that could be looked at and could be easily converted in some of these plants to burn ethanol as the fuel to fuel the electric plants.
We're talking with Cal Dalton. He's a member of the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. Now, Cal, we also started talking about diesel, ethanol, having diesel engines run ethanol on it. And when you first said that to me, I'm like, no, wait a minute. That diesel and gas engines are totally different. But there's a company out there actually trying to develop that?
Yeah, Clear Flame out of Dubuque, Iowa, has done research on this for several years. They're using, actually it's the ethanol that comes right out of our plant. It's a 98% ethanol and a 2% denatured gasoline that they're putting in these diesel motors under high compression with the turbochargers, and they're actually burning it in place of diesel fuel. And by using ethanol as your fuel source, because it is very clean burning, we're not having to use the DEF or anything else, and the emissions are a lot cleaner, as you can imagine, than diesel fuel is. So yeah, that's a big thing that's going on. They've actually had trucks on the road using it with Cummins engines and CAT engines in them. They've got tractors that they're using, both the Case IH and the John Deere tractors with and the caterpillars with this conversion kit, and they are starting to market conversion kits right now.
So this kit, I mean, I'm assuming you've had a chance to see it. I mean, does it totally change the whole process? Is it putting a carburetor on it, or what's happening here?
No, it's really not a carburetor, and because I've seen some of the components, we had to sign a non-compete agreement, so I can't really elaborate too much on it. But the kit costs, I believe, somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 range. But if you look at the cost of ethanol compared to diesel fuel, you're probably looking at least $2 a gallon right now cheaper. Getting similar mileage with the ethanol in there and not having to use the DEF, it just makes things work a lot better.
Now, I have to ask this because I'm a motorhead. I'm also a tractor puller, or not tractor puller, but a tractor pull fan. That's one of the best parts is at the line. You get to watch the smoke and you got to see the different colors and how it changes. And that, okay, using ethanol, do you get that?
No, you wouldn't have the dark black smoke that you do with diesel fuel because diesel fuel you got that high carbon content, but with ethanol you'd have, I'll call it, a clear blue flame coming out of the exhaust stack, which would be really cool.
Hey, that makes the nighttime at Toma tractor pull always a lot of fun when they start throwing the flames up. That is some fascinating stuff. So this company is just starting to get this marketed out. Is this something that the company, and again, you may not know, but the company is going to try to have it on the manufacturing line for farmers, for tractors, or for trucking companies?
At this point, from what I understand, and we first came to realize this in August when we went to the American Coalition for Ethanol conference, and they had a presentation there. But they just are starting to market this, and their thought was Midwest, where we produce ethanol, where it's readily available at a low cost for low transportation, and then to also work with farmers on their farms because your fuel source is close by, and to work with local trucking companies that home base every day.
Oh, okay. So those would be some interesting places to be able to sell that product. But I'm shocked, a diesel engine using ethanol. I guess I never would have thought that could have been done.
Yeah, it's it's a reality right now, and that's really cool. They figured if we could do in the Midwest with a lot of the trucking companies here, get a lot of their trucks converted, that we would need another 20 billion gallons of ethanol produced in this country, which would really help keep stabilizing our corn price and our whole economy.
Some interesting stuff. Cal Dalton, he is with the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. We're at Commodity Classic. I'm Brian Winnikins on WRDN.